We're live.
All right. Hi, everyone. Thanks so much for joining. I have Cindy as well as Susan here with me today.
We're busy right now because we're kind of hearing crickets at the moment. We're trying to keep the office busy, the crew's busy. I don't know if any.
Yeah, that wasn't me. To throw it out there, the brains behind Wholesale Fencing, his name is Adam Butts, and it's great. If and when you need to get your fence materials, we sell them nationwide, all different varieties, and that's the only plug I'll throw in there.
I think it's gonna dumb our generation up a little bit, though. I'm nervous that after a while, nobody's gonna be writing their own emails. They're just gonna be They're gonna be typing in, tell Susan, I think she smells funny.
Yeah. He asked me about it too. He says, "What's Susan's mom's name?" And I said, "Toby." And he was like, "She requested me." And I said, "Accept it. Duh, we love mom."
And we started doing meetings in the morning, and we have designated, I don't know if you guys have how you do your teams.
International BNIs.
BNI.
Yeah, they
BNI. Every city.
Yeah. Y con eso, hablando de eso, es qué difícil es cuando una persona entra a trabajar a un lugar que nada más hablan en inglés, ¿verdad?
I love the challenge. I love learning new stuff every day. And I feel like if I had to choose to do that on my own, I don't know that I would.
I like that.
I will tell you, my husband and I, we just got into the digital world this last, in 2023. We were still handwriting, all of our lead forms, all of our, fence layouts, everything.
I need my little halo on top of my head.
Does that mean I need to put on my horns?
What the fence show is all about. And, I stuck around because I got a great group of amazing women.
You're talking about, millions and millions of dollars in a contract is not something that is, I guess, typical in the fence world.
Right? Makes me jealous. Now I want a horse, Brian.
Hello.
What's happening?
Oh, living it up. Can we just talk that I love Yadira? The last thing on our intro is us week after week after week telling Brian that Yadira needs a horse.
Right.
Yes. That might have been intentional. Huh, Susan?
I'm not saying that I don't get a chuckle out of it every time I see it. I wish there was a way that every time this posted, it literally just tagged him.
It says Yadira needs a horse.
Yeah.
Yadira needs a horse. Yadira needs a horse. We could set it up on an automated, that just every week it tags him in a new post.
I'm about it. I mean, we could just post it to his Facebook page.
Yeah.
Go live everywhere.
Yeah.
Look at Michaela. Oh, hey, fancy seeing you two here.
Weird.
I know.
It's actually been a little bit. I think it was actually the post turtle video that they let us do, just you and I.
You were so irritated with me.
What's really funny is we had the SWA Summer Bash, a few weeks ago, and post turtle was brought up a lot, and everybody's like, "What's a post turtle?" And I'm like, "Oh my gosh."
Rewind episode 389 of Women of FWA live Q&As.
I just started sending the link. I'm like, here you go. But we're actually going to circle back around to that today. Okay. Just a little bit. Not in full. We're not talking about full-blown post turtles today. But I did a live not too long ago, and we really went back to the basics of operation management flow. And one of the things that I think we need to kind of get back to the basics on, which is super important to women of FWA as well as to SWI's organization, is leadership and culture. We have talked about company culture so many times on our lives throughout the last almost 2 years that we've been doing this, which that's so weird to say. So weird.
Yeah.
Kayla and her turtles. But I don't think we've ever really talked about it. we talk about things to do to improve company culture and, tips and tricks and things that we do that help set our culture. But we've really never broke down the basics. Like, where do you start with this? What does this mean?
You wake up.
Yeah. Well, that's a conscious effort and a habit you have to do every day. But
in theory.
How do you start this? So you're a brand new organization, Susan, and it's you and one other person. All of a sudden you start adding team members because you guys are busy, and you're like, hey, I definitely want to make sure that we're setting a good company culture, that there's a good foundation, that we're consistent. Like, how do you do that?
Bro, I don't know. I don't know how I feel about company culture all the time. Sometimes I feel like it's either too much or it's not enough. Like, it's hard to find that happy medium.
It definitely is. And there are definitely situations where you have a great company culture and people want to take advantage of it.
Right.
So and I can't tell you that we've never been in that situation. Oh, you guys are so good, we want more. Oh, we want more. We want more. But those are also employees, not team members.
I agree. And recently I was listening to another podcast where they were talking about the people who take advantage of that positive company culture and take advantage of the giving ownership of whatever the organization is, and like, how do you handle that? And he basically said, you never look back and say, I wish I hadn't done it.
Mm-hmm.
And that's how you kind of cope with it. That's the reality of the situation. Like, this is who I am. I want to provide culture. I want to provide a positive atmosphere. And yes, there will be people who take advantage of it, but I'm never going to look back and say, man, I wish I hadn't.
Yeah. And that's huge. And that's absolutely, because sometimes at the end of the day, especially this time of year when things are so chaotic and everybody's all over the place, and, let's face it, it's a hard year. And it's a hard year across the country. This is not just something that's hitting certain parts. And yes, we see this on a repetitive after, an election, and the changes and the uncertainty, and everybody's like, let's wait a minute. We don't know what we're doing yet. But so it's really a good time for us to talk about this. And what does this mean? Who is the basis for this? How do you really start to establish your company culture? Your leadership team, whether if that is you and one other person, or you and 8 other people, you define the company culture every single day. You are the one responsible for the company culture. You are the one setting the example and the tone and the expectations.
So let's pause for a second, Veronica. Let's go ahead and pretend like me and you are starting a business tomorrow, and we have to hire 5 employees to get started. And we have discussed in advance that we want to have company culture. What is the first level of what that would look like?
What does it look like to you? You can't live and breathe something if you don't believe in it and you don't want it. So
it's just like, it's easy to hire a person that fits in as opposed to having the knowledge, right? Like, you can teach the knowledge, but you can't teach somebody to fit in.
1000%. And that's kind of one of the things that we are going to, kind of dig into this and talk about this, because, this also goes back to, you can teach them anything. You can't teach them work ethic. You can't teach a positive attitude. You can't teach them to want to work well with others. You can't teach them, certain things. Can you coach and encourage? Yes, but you can't teach that. That it's not a teachable trait. That was their parents' responsibility, and they failed.
Right.
I mean, we're just gonna throw it out there. So, the basis of it is, if you don't like your company culture, let's say you already have a team established. You don't like your company culture. Guess what? You need to take a long look in the mirror. You need to take a look and see what's going on and what you're doing and how you're going to change your day-to-day. My biggest thing that I've said, anybody that's taken the OMS class with me, is be the example to set the expectation. If you're not
a good example,
if you're not living and breathing the company culture that you want as a leader or part of your leadership team, You're going to keep beating your head on the wall, and then you're no help when it comes to what did he crash.
That's okay.
You're just not going to get anywhere. You have to look at yourself. You have to look at the leadership team. And then as you grow and you bring more and more leaders into your organization and on this team, you have to make sure that they've got a good, solid foundation of what your goal is, what your company culture is. And then are they able to continue that?
So can ChatGPT help me figure out what that goal is and how to initiate it?
I'm sure if you want a really textbook answer that doesn't have the emotion and drive behind your own personal inner self.
LOL at Susan's title. How can a team member, not the boss, who wants company culture to be brought into their workplace, bring it up, start incorporating it? Yeah, my title is Veronica's hero too.
Absolutely. How do you bring it up if you're not an owner or a leader? My first thing would be is to write down what those important traits are. What do you think company culture should be? And how do you expedite that? Often we see, especially in this industry, that people have grown or, things move up at a certain pace and it's something that kind of gets left to the wayside or, yeah, we'll get to that. Yeah, we'll get to that. So if you're not in a position of leadership, then my recommendation to you is to make that list as well as maybe 3 to 5 recommendations on how to slowly implement it. But again, if your leader is not on board, if your leader does not see eye to eye with you on this, it's never going to work.
Right.
All you're going to do is have frustration and you're going to actually have a toxic culture versus a good positive company culture.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, it's kind of a fine line, but a lot of times, maybe people just don't know that it's not too late, that they can do this, but, you're going to have some open wounds and you're probably going to hurt a little bit moving into this. But once you do it, like you said, you're never going to regret not doing it.
I think even from a team member point of view, you're capable of creating a company culture with your own positive attitude, with your own learning from your mistakes and owning them, a level of ownership, right? But
right.
Again, like you said, that's not teachable. You have to choose that also.
So accountability, it should be non-negotiable. That is not an option. If you have somebody that they did something or they came to you and said, hey, this is messed up and have zero accountability for it, they are toxic to your culture.
Right.
It's just not an option. I would rather someone come to me and be like, hey, I built this fence and then I ran my pickup through it on accident, blah, blah, blah. I mean, knock on wood, that doesn't happen. But to be accountable for it, because if there's no accountability, you're fostering a toxic environment. And that really, they're going to tell you who should stay and who should go. Your culture determines behavior, but behavior determines culture. It's hand in hand. And that goes from the very top down to the very bottom. One of the things that I was raised is that you treat the president or the owner of a company the same way that you treat the janitor, and you treat the janitor the same way you teach the president or the owner. Mm-hmm. So it kind of goes hand in hand with that. If that janitor's got a bad mood or whatever the case may be, that is going to carry over into the culture. And if the culture is toxic, guess who's going to have a bad attitude? The janitor. It's, you have to make sure. And I'm not saying that everybody has to be 100% sunshine and rainbows all the flipping time, because that is not realistic. And anybody that talks to me knows that. But at the end of the day, even if I'm not in sunshine and rainbow, at the end of the day, I still have, hey, we're going to get through this. We're going to push. It's hard. We got it. And you've got to have that good behavior to go with it, because I embrace the company culture that we harvest. And these are my, biggest things, even to me personally, not just within SWI.
Right.
Okay. So more into culture. Empowerment improves performance.
How do you empower people?
They're going to you're going to have 2 different types of people. You're going to have the people that stand up or the people that sit down, right? And the people that stand up are usually natural born leaders. And you're going to empower them to start to earn this trust with you and to really get into the nitty gritty of the culture. And how that works is if they run into a situation and they're like, hey, I'm not quite sure how to handle this. Hey, Evan, if you're not quite sure how to handle this, you're going to give them the tools and you're going to empower them to start to really push this.
But what does empower mean? Like, how do we get there?
How
I'm
do
writing
you-
this way down.
If values need to feel trusted,
Okay.
that is the number one thing. If they know that you trust them, you have naturally empowered them. Now, are you going
So
to
you're not
trust someone in?
micromanaging. So you're not
Exactly.
micromanaging. You're not looking over their shoulder while they work.
And I'm not saying you have to start there.
Right.
And especially as you pull people into certain positions, you're going to watch them fall on their face. And you're going to know this is coming. And it's kind of your job to step in later and help clean up the spots, them have some accountability on what went wrong. And you're like, okay, in the future, let's do this. You know? So trusting them and giving them that empowerment to solve problems or to come up with solutions to address these. That it sounds really simple in a lot of things, but it's a big part of culture.
What's next?
How about systemizing processes?
What does that even mean?
We talk about operations management a lot, right? We talk about policies and procedures. We talk
writing
about
all that stuff down. Just know what's in my brain, yo.
Okay. I have crystal balls in my office and they have not worked in the entire 7 years that I've had them. I have changed the batteries. I have polished them. I have. There's a big joke in SWI that Veronica speaks Mark and Alan, right? Because they're in a hurry and they're just throwing out these little bits of information, usually voice to text. And everybody's like, what the hell does this even say? I'm like, oh, that's easy. But it's taken a lot of time to get to a lot of this. But if you have clear systems and policies and procedures and everything's down and out and written, it doesn't even have to be on paper. It doesn't have to be on paper, but there should be a consistency. How hard would it be if Brian, well, that's not a good example.
Yeah, that's a terrible example. I consistently do the exact same formats the same every time.
Correct. So, but that's for your own sanity, right? So could you imagine if you had somebody that was coming in that was learning all this and you bebopped all over and changed it every single time? You would be so frustrated with them instead of looking at yourself going, I'm really messing this up.
Right. Yes. No, we've had many come in and not be as successful as they were capable of being because of that. Since then, we have readjusted and overcome, and I've streamlined a bunch of stuff, you know what I mean? I'm like, talk less, I'll talk more, you know what I mean? But for the most part, like, I've learned how to speak Brian, if that's what we're saying, and so, like, I understand what he means.
Right, and then you turn around and you put it into a different format, and then you pass it on, right? Yes. So you're a huge part of that company culture about making sure that that balance is there.
Is maintained, right.
Right. Okay. Recruit based on value and culture fit, which we just talked about this.
In my mind, that's one of the most, to me, that should almost be at the top. Like I brought up already, like, but my thing is how do you go into these interviews and ask all the right questions to make sure that they fit in, right? So that's going to be a multi step interview in my mind, a minimum of 2 to 3.
No.
You're saying 4?
No, I have 4 questions.
Okay, let's
4 questions. So actually, when we start an interview, the first thing I ask them is, you know what, we're going to get into your work history in just a minute. I don't want to know about your work history. I want to know about you. What do you want to tell me about you? And then, of course, I ask them 5-year goals, 10-year goals. How do you describe your personality? What are some of your hobbies? How do you handle stress? You know, if someone's pissing you off and you got all these things flying at you, you know, how do you handle those situations? And let's face it, some of these answers, you know, they're going to put on their best behavior, right?
But people will show you who they are.
But they will show you when you're not talking about just their work history. They're not just their work history. If you want to hire based off of just work history and screw the company culture, then don't ask these questions.
Mm-hmm.
But this is so important to us. I mean, this is how we start every single interview. Everyone. Another series of questions that I ask is when we do get to their work history, I ask them their favorite part of that job and their least favorite part of that job.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone. Another question that I ask is I say, okay, Susan, if I hire you and in 6 months I fire you, and I call Brian and say, hey, I fired Susan, do you want to guess why? These people tattle on themselves.
He would say it was probably because she was working way too hard. That's why you fired her.
Yeah. But these people tell on themselves.
Right.
They absolutely tell themselves. And here's the thing, is calling references. If I've got a really chatty reference, which, by the way, you are not limited to certain information that you can divulge in Wyoming on a reference check, by the way. For anybody that knows.
I live in a
Like your
state
local laws.
that you're only allowed to ask if they were employed at that place of business.
So, yeah, no. Wyoming is, they can ask anything. You can answer as long as it is not false and you have documentation. You have a way to prove that the information that you are giving is correct. So just another thing. Okay.
Know your laws, people.
Yeah, know your laws. Okay, so top 4 questions that I ask at the end of an interview that tells me way more than what the question is. Are you a dog person or a cat person? Depending on what the answer they give me, I ask them why. Why does that make you more of a dog person than a cat person? Is there anything wrong? Is there wrong answers to these questions? Absolutely not.
That's so weird. I don't know how I would feel if somebody asked me that.
Why?
Because, like, I love animals, right?
Right.
And, like, I have a cat and a dog in the house. But I definitely like the dog way more.
Okay, but why?
Because it's cleaner and nicer and softer.
Okay. So you're telling me that you'd rather go towards the more sensitive side than the cat that wants to gouge out your eyeballs and pee on your pillowcase.
If that cat pees on my pillowcase, we gonna bust.
I'm not a cat person. Do I like cats? Yeah, but I'm not a cat person. Another question I ask is, if you were a type of cereal, what type of cereal would you be and why? Now, wait a minute. I don't want to know what your favorite type of cereal is, and you tell me.
Went straight to my brain.
Yeah, you're like, oh, cinnamon toast crunch because I like the milk. No.
Right.
If you were to describe your personality, who you are, what kind of cereal would that translate into and why?
I'm not going to lie to you. I would walk out of this interview being like, I have no idea how good or bad I did.
Okay. So you want it in this question, I actually bet every person that comes in and interviews with me that I can ask one question that they have never been asked in a job interview before and ask them if they'll take me up on the bet.
Okay.
Okay. If I shrunk you to the size of a pencil eraser and I put you in a blender, how would you get out?
I don't want to tell you what came to my mind.
Tell me. There's probably nothing that you could say that I have not heard.
It doesn't matter. I don't want to say it out loud. What's the right answer?
There is none. What the question is doing is it's showing me what your problem solving skills are. I never told you if the lid was on, if there was anything in the blender, if it was standing up or on its side. I did not tell you if it was on the couch or on the counter. I didn't tell you if
I definitely created an entire storyline in my head around the eraser.
Right.
And
You shrunk it down to the size of your eraser and just threw yourself in there.
Right.
But without proper problem solving skills, some of the biggest parts in operations is asking the questions. What interview am I in right now? I've already. But there's no wrong answers to these questions.
Have you ever had an interviewee literally lose their crap and like walk out?
No, because we've opened it up to this dialogue and this open where they feel comfortable and they're, and I tell them like, there's no wrong answer. It just tells me how your brain works. Because anybody in operations, when you get addressed with a problem, what's the first thing you should do? Ask questions.
Right.
Don't jump.
Oh, I jumped.
You ask questions. So when we're talking about a culture fit, that's one of the things that you have to make sure of in a company culture, that they're going to match that.
Right.
The serial, I write them 1 year, 3 year, and 5 years. So we do 5 and 10, Monica, but I love that. Another thing that we do to show some of their skills and their culture kind of stuff is there's actually a questionnaire. If we're super interested in you, we email it out to you and say, hey, you got to complete these, return it back in a PDF format, blah, blah, blah. It shows me their computer skills. There's some personality stuff in there, gives them a time, to think about it, and really shows us a lot.
Oh, yeah. What we got next? Because we're almost out of time, sis.
Teach the why. Why are we here? What are we doing?
That's a good one. I like that
Teach
one a lot.
the why. Spread the why. If you're not sharing the why would anybody else care?
I agree.
Get into the nitty-gritty details. Even if they're handling one little piece, tell them how the whole puzzle fits, because then they're going to show their culture and they're going to show the importance of what the task is they're actually working on. Creating a career path. You should have goals for brand new people within, the first year. Hey, within the first year, you should be here. Within this time, we should be here. This time, we should be here. That keeps them motivated. That keeps their own personal why moving forward. They're not going to ever, ever, ever feel stuck or they can't do something. And let them know, you're not limited to their goals. If they crush the goal within 3 to 6 months, good. Let's move to the next one. But it also company culture, because if they're crushing those goals and they're all about pushing forward, that's somebody you want on your team pushing your organization.
Yeah, absolutely.
Communication is leadership priority. If anybody has ever been in a position with a company where leadership absolutely sucked at communicating, you know how miserable that is.
Yeah.
There's, in my opinion, there's nothing worse.
I agree.
I would rather.
I know I jokingly said, the first thing you do is wake up and decide to have company culture, but no, the first thing, it has to be a level of communication, 100%.
And it's hard to teach people to communicate. Is it possible? Yes. But can they communicate in a good, positive nature?
It has to be practiced. I don't think it comes naturally to me, but I have to make a conscious effort. I just assume everybody knows what's going on in my head.
Thank God we don't.
I know.
So the last one is lead with a vision. Leaderships must constantly communicate and reinforce company mission, direction, and core values. How many times in Women of FWA have we been in a meeting and I'm like, back to the basics. Back to the basics. This is our foundation. This is what we're about. This is our mission. This is what we're doing. Let's not. Brian's over here, jingling jingle bells, and we're like, oh, look, something shiny. But it comes back to that. And these are all key ways for your leadership and your company culture, because they're hand in hand, that they're the same thing. If your leadership doesn't have the company culture, your company culture doesn't have leadership.
Right.
And again, I will say it 100,000 times, be the example to set the expectation for your kids, for your organization, for your boss, for your manager, for anybody. Be the example. How many times have we ever heard, do what I say, not as I do? How well does that go?
Right.
I like shiny things. Speaking of shiny things, I'm so glad.
I don't have the picture.
Uh-oh.
I didn't know we were going to bring it. I have this ready.
There you go. Absolutely. So here's another good one. Then we'll get into something shiny.
So we have a brunch, you guys. I thought you were going to speak. I'm sorry.
No, it's you.
We have a lot of people already pre-registered.
Yay!
Yeah, we do. It's open to men and women, not just women. I had a couple of people go, I accidentally registered my husband. Can you fix that? And I'm like, well, yes, I can, but he's welcome too. Because it will just be a networking event. It just happens to be hosted by us. But if it's all women, I'm okay with that too. We're going to have fun.
Absolutely.
You can scan an RSVP if you didn't do it when you registered, because the registration just got updated and it's included now. But we probably won't turn you away at the door. I'm just saying, like, as long as you have your badge.
Because you can sit with us.
Right.
It's just a chance to really like hang out before all the crazy and, you know, the show floor and everybody's going in 35 different directions to be able to hang out. So speaking of the something shiny is Women of FWA, as well as huge thanks to JC Gurry for once again being a huge supporter of Women of FWA, and this has released, or have we released it? We did release it.
Yeah, it's all over social media.
The 2025 Women of FWA fence necklaces. Again, we could not have done this without JC Gurry's love and support, and Mary and Mark are fantastic. Like we seriously wouldn't be able to do this. And after some long talks with the Women of FWA leadership team, this is actually something we have a limited number, just like we did last year. And every year we're going to actually come out with a new design. So once they're gone, they're gone. There's no mo. So yeah, there's
Look how fast I am.
They are amazing. They are so freaking pretty. Something so different. You know, last year we had the fork latch, which was great. I wear mine all the time. But I'm super, super excited to get my hands on this year's. I've already placed my order. And you can place your order.
Yes,
you just have to reach out to Women of FWA so we can get you on the pre-order list. And like I said, there's only a certain number being made, and once they're gone, they're gone. We're not ordering more. And every year that we do this, we're going to stick with that. So make sure, reach out. We'll get you one of those. What else we got going on announcement-wise?
I'm not completely sure. I'm
The
not
show's coming up.
Yeah, the show's coming up. Education starts September 29th, and the show floor opens October 1st to 3rd. And I'm sorry. My brain's all over the place. I've been crazy busy, like just trying to wrap everything in a bow. Education is kicking my butt, but man, it's looking really, really good. We have everything from gate operator quick start to how to bid commercial jobs. We have vinyl fence 101. We have we have a couple of AI classes. We have ad spin classes, you know, like just some really, really fun and exciting stuff this year on the education. I plan to have it done in the next 2 to 3 weeks max so that it will be published and that you can see and pick out your classes for the show.
Absolutely love that. The show's going to kick some butt this year. It'll be here before we know it. It's a hop, a skip, and a jump away. And then
first, though.
Yeah, that's so weird. Like, who does that?
Right.
And then, of course, we have the Women of FWA retreat that we're still working on, that we're still looking for sponsors for, as well as I think that we are starting a list on interest for that, I believe, if people are interested, I think. And attending that retreat, you can reach out so we can make sure that you get that information first. It is in Branson, Missouri next summer. So we're super, super excited. Register to receive a copy of the newsletter and magazine. Absolutely. And also anybody that's not on the Women of FWA newsletter list. Michaela absolutely kills it every single month with all the other members of the leadership team, getting some content out there and touching base. So if you're interested in that, make sure to reach out so we can get you on that list.
Oh, yeah.
So,
well,
Susan.
Thank you for remembering all the things.
All the things. You should go have a good dang night. Looks like you need a couple drinks and out by the pool.
It's raining and we have Kid Smart tonight, or Kid Strong. So we're about to run down to the other side of town.
Okay. Well, you go have fun with that traffic.
I will.
Okay. You guys have a good dang night.